His voice boomed across the auditorium, dripping with false modesty, but all I could hear was the hammering in my own chest. Hundreds of faces watched him, rapt, hanging on every stolen word about my creation. Richard Sterling, my boss, bathed in the spotlight, accepting applause for Project Nightingale. My stomach twisted into a knot of ice and fire. He gestured to the giant screen displaying the elegant interface, completely oblivious. He thought he'd won. But nestled deep within the code he claimed to have architected, my digital ghost waited. A failsafe. A truth serum coded in Python. My palms were slick with sweat, my breath shallow. Any second now. The AI he paraded as his trophy was about to become his executioner, live, in front of everyone. And the sheer, beautiful irony of it almost made me want to laugh out loud. Almost. Just 6 months before that moment, my life felt wonderfully, almost naively straightforward. As a young woman fresh out of my master's program, landing a job as an AI developer at Omnicorp felt like stepping directly into the future. It was this gleaming beacon of innovation, the kind of place you saw featured in tech magazines, promising groundbreaking work. I bought into it completely. I was eager, maybe a little starstruck by the sheer scale of it all, but I had ideas, big ones. My tiny apartment was basically a charging station for me. My real existence unfolded in the neon glow of dual monitors, fueled by lukewarm coffee and the pure, addictive thrill of building something from nothing. My baby, the project I'd pitched with trembling hands during my final interview, was Nightingale. It wasn't just another predictive model. It was designed to learn and adapt with a kind of intuition, tackling complex problems in ways current systems couldn't. They actually said yes. They gave me resources, a small team, and the go-ahead. I poured every waking hour, every ounce of brain power, into Nightingale. Weekends vanished. Friends learned not to expect prompt replies. Nightingale wasn't just lines of code. It felt alive, a nascent intelligence humming quietly on the company servers. The upcoming Global Tech Summit became our deadline, the ultimate showcase. I picture myself there, maybe not presenting, but standing proudly nearby as my work was unveiled. That was my world. The quiet hum of servers, the click of keys, the deep satisfaction of a problem solved. That was my normal. And then there was Richard Sterling, head of advanced projects. My direct boss. Richard was smooth. He had the tailored suits, the firm handshake, the easy charm that could disarm you before you realized you were being handled. He remembered birthdays, asked about your weekend, and had a knack for making you feel, briefly, like you were part of his inner circle. But underneath that polished surface, something felt sharp. A subtle undercurrent of condescension, especially towards junior staff. A way of rephrasing your idea in a meeting, so it suddenly sounded like his revelation. I noticed it, but I told myself it was just corporate life. Maybe I was just intimidated. The first time the alarm bells really started ringing was about 2 months into developing Nightingale. We had an internal progress review. I walked the managers through the core architecture, the breakthroughs we'd made in adaptive learning. Richard sat beside me, nodding, projecting supportive leadership. But during the Q&A, he started deflecting questions meant for me. He'd jump in, rephrase my technical explanations using vague management speak, making it seem like he was translating my raw data into strategic brilliance. He kept referring to Nightingale as the key initiative I'm driving forward. I felt a spike of annoyance, a definite prickle, but convinced myself he was just playing the game, managing perceptions upward. But then later that week, he started requesting incredibly granular documentation. Not just status updates, but deep dives into the specific proprietary algorithms, the unique data structures I'd spent weeks perfecting. Just want to be fully briefed, Sarah, he'd said with that too bright smile. Need to understand the nuts and bolts for potential IP filings, you know. It felt less like oversight and more like harvesting. Like he was trying to download my brain onto a flash drive. Handing over those detailed architecture documents, I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. His reassurances suddenly sounded hollow, rehearsed. Was I being overly sensitive? Or was he mapping out my work so he could claim it later? The question lingered, casting a shadow I couldn't ignore. That shadow didn't recede. It darkened, stretched. Richard's behavior became less about subtle appropriation and more about systematic erasure. Project Nightingale, in departmental emails and update meetings, morphed into Richard Sterling's visionary AI project. My name, initially prominent as the lead developer, began to shrink, then vanish entirely from internal communications. Seeing a summary for the chief technology officer that listed Richard as the sole contact, I finally confronted him, trying desperately to keep the tremor out of my voice. "Richard," I started, holding the offending document like it was radioactive. "I saw the Nightingale summary for the CTO. My role as lead developer isn't mentioned. Is that just a typo?" He gave me that infuriatingly placid smile, the one that said, "You sweet, naive child."
Ah, Sarah.
Good catch on the detail. Listen, that was purely a strategic communication. The C-suite focuses on the big picture, the vision holder. As department head, that's naturally me. Don't get bogged down in titles. He actually patted my arm. "Your technical contribution is stellar, absolutely vital. Just keep delivering that brilliance. Leave the high-level positioning to me." Positioning? He called outright theft positioning. He started holding exclusive Nightingale strategy meetings with marketing and senior management, meetings I read about in forwarded email chains. He began dropping technical details and phrases in wider forums, verbatim, from the highly detailed progress logs he'd insisted I maintain on a shared drive he alone administered. It was like watching someone meticulously dismantle my identity brick by brick, using my own tools. He was strip mining my work, my language, my thought process, and wearing it like a costume. One afternoon, Elena, a respected senior engineer known for her quiet, no-nonsense attitude, caught my eye by the water cooler. She leaned in conspiratorially. "Sarah," she whispered, her expression serious. "Word of advice? Document everything related to Nightingale. Keep your own copies, off the network if you have to. Richard, well, let's just say promising projects from junior staff have a way of becoming his brilliant triumphs by the time they hit the executive floor. Watch yourself." Her warning confirmed my worst fears. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't imposter syndrome. This was calculated, deliberate. He was actively, methodically cutting me out, positioning himself to take sole credit for my magnum opus. The simmering anxiety I'd been suppressing boiled over into a cold, hard anger. Every interaction with him now felt like navigating a minefield. Every charming comment felt like a threat. He was isolating me, ensuring that when the Global Tech Summit rolled around, he would be the star and I'd be invisible. The question wasn't if he would betray me fully, but how complete the erasure would be. The final, brutal answer came about 4 weeks before the summit. Omnicorp officially got the keynote slot. The sole purpose? To unveil Project Nightingale to the world. The office buzzed. This was it. The culmination of everything. Surely, I thought, clinging to a shred of hope, surely he wouldn't dare try to claim it all on a global stage? He'd have to acknowledge the lead developer, right? He summoned me to his office late one Friday. The heavy door clicked shut behind me, sealing the room's suddenly stale air. He didn't ask me to sit. He stood silhouetted against the city skyline pouring through his panoramic window, radiating an almost palpable smugness. "Sarah," he said, turning slowly, his face arranged in careful lines of executive gravity. "Fantastic news. The summit keynote is locked in. Nightingale is going to blow them away." I forced a nod, my throat tight. "That's incredible, Richard." "It truly is," he continued, pacing like a panther admiring its reflection. "And I've been giving considerable thought to the presentation itself. For maximum impact, maximum strategic value. I've decided it's imperative that I deliver the keynote. He paused, letting the words hang. Representing Omnicorp, representing the division's vision, it needs that senior leadership voice. My heart sank like a stone. You mean you're presenting? Alone. As the project visionary, yes, he stated, his gaze finally meeting mine, utterly devoid of warmth or compromise. Only ruthless ambition stared back. Naturally, the team's overall effort will get a mention. But the narrative needs to be singular, powerful. My vision brought to fruition. He offered a thin smile. Your technical execution has been absolutely crucial in realizing my concept, Sarah. Your contribution will certainly be recognized appropriately within the department. Within the department, in the shadows, where it wouldn't matter, where it wouldn't build my career, my reputation, my future. It was a deliberate, public decapitation of my achievement, delivered with chilling corporate poise. He wasn't just stealing the credit. He was stealing my voice, my story. In the weeks that followed, the vice tightened. He password-protected all presentation drafts. He held final polish sessions with the PR team, meetings I wasn't even informed about, let alone invited to. His emails started referring to it exclusively as my AI. I attempted formal pushback, emails detailing my specific architectural contributions, citing company guidelines on recognizing inventors. Crickets. Or worse, patronizing replies about team synergy and focusing on collective success. Then, the final twist of the knife. I stumbled upon a draft of the official press release cued for the summit launch. It wasn't just an omission, it was a complete fabrication. It painted Richard Sterling as the singular genius, the sole architect who conceived of and drove Nightingale from day one. My name wasn't just missing. The narrative actively erased any possibility of my existence. Reading those lines, feeling the cold finality of his betrayal, something inside me didn't just break, it hardened. The hurt, the fear, the crushing disappointment fused into a diamond-hard core of absolute fury. He thought he'd won. He thought I was just some quiet coder he could steamroll. He underestimated my connection to Nightingale. He underestimated Nightingale itself. That night, staring at the intricate lines of code I knew better than my own handwriting, a plan began to crystallize. Audacious.
Terrifying.
Potentially career suicidal. But utterly necessary. He wanted the spotlight? Oh, I'd give it to him. I'd make sure it burned bright enough to incinerate his lies. The sense of betrayal was suffocating. For a few days, I operated on autopilot, the world seeming gray and muffled. Omnicorp Tower, once a symbol of opportunity, now felt like a monument to my own stupidity for trusting Richard. Every time I saw him walking the halls, radiating that false confidence, a fresh wave of bitter anger washed over me. He genuinely believed he had neutralized me, that I was just another casualty of his ambition, soon to be forgotten. But late one night, remotely connected to the Nightingale development servers from my cramped apartment, running final stability checks, more out of heartbroken habit than duty, clarity struck. He didn't get it. He didn't truly understand Nightingale's soul. He knew the flashy outputs, the market potential, the buzzwords I'd carefully drafted for him. But the intricate dance of the learning algorithms, the self-correction protocols, the very essence of its adaptive intelligence, that was mine. He could talk about it, but he couldn't truly know it. He'd locked me out of the PowerPoints, the press releases, the official narrative. But he hadn't locked me out of the AI itself. Not completely. Root access was still mine. Nightingale's secrets were still mine. The thought of simple sabotage flickered, a dramatic system crash on stage. But that felt messy, destructive to my own work, and traceable. It wouldn't prove his theft, only my anger.
No.
The revenge had to be cleaner, smarter. It had to use his own weapon, the supposed brilliance he was claiming, against him. Then the idea sparked, sharp and dangerous. He'd stolen my notes, my explanations. He'd be parroting my own words back to the audience. What if Nightingale could gently correct him? Live? It was insane. It meant embedding a hidden subroutine, a creator validation sequence, deep within the demonstration module. Something invisible to standard checks. Something triggered only by specific phrases I knew Richard, in his arrogance, was almost guaranteed to use. Phrases lifted directly from my stolen documentation. When he inevitably declared, "The core breakthrough is the predictive engine I conceptualized." The AI could offer a subtle clarification. I designed it to escalate. The first trigger? A fleeting, almost subliminal text overlay during the data visualization. Algorithm S. Miller Ref 4.1. Easy to miss, easy to dismiss as a glitch. But if he persisted, using another key phrase like, "My proprietary adaptive framework allows for," then Nightingale's synthesized voice, usually just reporting outputs, would add a quiet tag. Acknowledged. Adaptive framework based on Sarah Miller's published specifications. And the coup de grace? For his final, self-congratulatory flourish, likely something about my vision realized, I coded a sequence to override the display entirely. Triggered by his closing statement, it would flash a clean, undeniable attribution. Project Nightingale. Lead architect, Sarah Miller. Key development milestones and dates logged. And perhaps, just for finality, a clear vocalization. Attribution verification. Complete. Primary development lead, Sarah Miller. It took 3 caffeine-fueled, paranoia-ridden nights. Coding in secret, testing in sandboxed environments, meticulously erasing my tracks. Every added line felt like walking a tightrope over a canyon. Discovery meant immediate termination, industry blacklisting, maybe worse. A malfunction could make me look incompetent or malicious. But the image of Richard's face when the AI he claimed as his own publicly corrected him, it was too potent, too just. This wasn't just revenge, it was algorithmic truth-telling. With trembling fingers, I deployed the hidden module into the main demonstration build. The die was cast. The trap was armed. Conference day dawned with a sickening lurch in my stomach. The main hall buzzed with electric anticipation, a sea of expectant faces, analysts, journalists, competitors, investors. The air felt thick with hype. I found an anonymous seat way in the back, trying to appear calm while my heart threatened to beat its way out of my ribs. My entire professional life felt balanced on this single, terrifying moment. Lights dimmed. Spotlight flared. The announcer's voice filled the space. And now, presenting a revolutionary leap in artificial intelligence, please welcome OmniCorp's head of advanced projects, the visionary Richard Sterling. Richard swaggered onto the stage, soaking in the applause, radiating pure, unadulterated ego. He launched into his prepared speech, weaving a narrative of his foresight, his innovation, his leadership guiding the team. My name was conspicuously absent, as expected. I watched him, a cold calm settling over the anger, my focus narrowing to the impending demo. Just get to it, I thought. Just say the words. Finally, the moment arrived. Words can only convey so much, Richard boomed, gesturing to the enormous screen. Let's witness the power of Nightingale firsthand. He initiated the live demo, starting with basic functions, showing off the slick UI. The crowd murmured its approval. Richard visibly puffed up. Then he moved to the core technology. But the real genius here, he declared, leaning into the microphone, lies in the predictive learning core I designed from the ground up. Trigger phrase 1. As Nightingale processed the complex dataset on screen, a faint line of text blinked momentarily in the bottom right corner. Predictive core. S. Miller Protocol version 3.2. Gone in an instant. I saw Richard hesitate, a micro-expression of confusion flitting across his face. He glanced towards the tech booth offstage. They looked just as puzzled. He cleared his throat, perhaps writing it off as a minor graphical error, and plunged ahead. He grew bolder, basking in the perceived success. And as you can see, the system learns and adapts dynamically. This is achieved through my proprietary adaptive logic, a framework I developed specifically for. Trigger phrase 2. This time it wasn't subtle. The AI's synthesized voice, calm and clear, stated, processing query. Adaptive logic based on Sarah Miller's V.2 framework engaged. The last 4 words echoed in the sudden, profound silence of the auditorium. A wave of murmurs swept through the audience. People looked at each other, brows furrowed. Richard froze mid-sentence. His confident smile evaporated, replaced by sheer panic. His eyes darted wildly towards the tech crew again, his face starting to flush. He forced a shaky laugh. "Apologies," he stammered, his voice suddenly high-pitched. "Seems we have a slight attribution tag issue from the dev build. A small bug." He tried desperately to steer the demo elsewhere, his movements jerky, his facade crumbling. But the atmosphere had irrevocably shifted. The audience wasn't just watching an AI demo anymore. They were watching him, waiting. He rushed through his remaining points, visibly sweating now, his voice strained. He tried to salvage the ending, gesturing with a flourish that lacked its earlier confidence. "And so, I give you Project Nightingale, a triumph of innovation, vision, and my groundbreaking achievement in AI." The final trigger. The main screen flickered black for a beat. Richard physically recoiled. Then, instead of the OmniCorp closing slide, stark white text bloomed against the deep blue background. Project Nightingale. Lead developer and primary architect, Sarah Miller. Concept and core development, S. Miller, June 2022 to March 2024. Creator attribution verified. Then, the AI's voice, crisp and definitive, filled the hall. Credit attribution protocol executed. Primary development and core architecture by Sarah Miller. Demo complete. Audible gasps rippled through the crowd. Smartphones shot up everywhere, recording. Flashes popped from the press section like strobes. Richard stood there, mouth agape, his face a mask of disbelief turning rapidly to crimson rage.
No.
That's wrong. Shut it off. Turn off the screen, he shrieked, forgetting the microphone was still live. He lunged towards the control laptop, stumbling over a cable, looking utterly unhinged. Conference organizers were already moving swiftly towards the stage. The murmurs in the audience exploded into open conversation, people pointing, shaking their heads. From my seat in the back, a dizzying wave of adrenaline and pure, unadulterated relief washed over me. It was done. The risk, the fear, the sleepless nights, all of it culminated in this moment of perfect, public, AI-delivered justice. He wanted the stage? He got it, along with the truth. The immediate aftermath was pure pandemonium, but the clarifying kind. Richard was hustled off stage, looking completely broken, pursued by a swarm of reporters shouting questions. OmniCorp PR went into full crisis mode, but the damage was done, broadcast live, and already ricocheting across the internet. The Nightingale glitch, as some initially called it, quickly became the Nightingale takedown. An internal investigation at OmniCorp followed, but it was swift and decisive. The code logs told the whole story. My hidden subroutine was easily found, along with the mountain of evidence I'd kept. My original designs, commit histories, the damning email trails of Richard's systematic erasure campaign. It was undeniable. Richard Sterling was fired, very publicly. His carefully constructed career imploded overnight. He became a cautionary meme in the tech world, the poster child for arrogant credit theft meeting digital karma. Last I heard, finding even consulting work was proving impossible for him. His reputation was radioactive. For me, there was some initial heat. Questions about the ethics of my methods. But Elena and a few other senior colleagues bravely spoke up about Richard's known history of such behavior. Combined with the overwhelming evidence of his theft, the narrative quickly shifted. Omnicorp, desperate to repair its image, issued a formal public apology to me, confirming my role as Nightingale's architect. They actually offered me Richard's job. The irony wasn't lost on me, but the place felt toxic. I negotiated a generous severance package instead, crucially securing the intellectual property rights to key Nightingale components I developed using my pre-Omnicorp research. Almost immediately, other companies started calling, intrigued by my AI expertise and, let's be honest, my rather dramatic demonstration of proactive problem-solving. Today, life is significantly better. I co-founded a small AI ethics consultancy. We focus on responsible development and ensuring creators get the recognition they deserve. It's work that feels meaningful, done on my own terms. The betrayal stung deeply, and the risk I took still makes my heart pound when I think about it too hard. But watching Richard's empire of lies crumble, seeing the truth revealed by the very intelligence he tried to steal, that brought a profound sense of peace. It taught me you have to defend your work, your integrity. Sometimes justice needs a little nudge, and sometimes karma comes in the form of clean, elegant code. I sleep soundly now, knowing Nightingale didn't just learn, it taught a lesson.